And this is the Herbert sled set to lead things off here in heat number 2. His team consisting of Kyle Meadows, Chip Minton, and Tim McCrossin.
Yeah, Kyle Meadows used to play for the 49ers, Stanford University track and field athlete. It's his first year in the sport. It's his first World Cup race ever. Tim McCrossin on the brakes. He's a chiropractor. And you got Chip Minton. He's the corrections officer from Macon, Georgia. Look at the start time, Timmy. 22nd best start time. You just can't do that in bobsledding, even though it's a new crew. These guys will get better because, you know, you need a couple hundred trips with each other like Vader's crew. They've had 200 or 300 trips with each other between last season and now. And, boy, if you don't get the good start in a short 1,200-meter track like this, like I've been saying, you're just buried.
If anything, Jim Herbert is persistent. The graduate of Harvard University from Winchester, Massachusetts, has been trying for so long to break onto the World Cup circuit.
Well, he did great in the two-man event. He had the Bodine sled. He started 38th in the two-man event, last in the first heat, moved up to 16th. And then in the second heat, posted the 7th best time to finish 12th overall. So with the Bodine equipment, he did very good in the two-man. Here he's driving a brand new Sapphire sled and not getting great times with it. But again, it's a new team. It takes time to put this together. This is a big-time team sport, Tim.
Well, Jim Herbert, as the cliche goes, just happy to be here. I think not. He'd like to see his times improve over 151.04. Now up at the top, another American team trying to fight its way up in the standings. USA sled number 2, an Olympic veteran, Randy Will, his team of Joe Sawyer, Jeff Woodard, and Chris Coleman.
Yeah, all four of these guys with the 92 games that competed. Will and Coleman in the same sleds, Sawyer and Woodard on another sled. And they needed 5:05 start or better. Look at the size of Woodard on the right. Look at them all jump in the sled with cat-like movements. Don't think that's easy. Trust me. 5:07. You'd think that these guys would do better than that, but again, they just put their crew together in the last 4 or 5 weeks, Timmy, and it takes time to acclimate yourself to the steps and getting in the sled and getting down with each other. And Will's a very good pilot. He won the U.S. trials coming in and in four-man, and boy, you know, he's very experienced in this track.
John, remember that point about keeping a team together? I'm going to bring that up again when we see American Brian Scheimer. Will currently 1700ths of a second off the pace, an 88 Olympian, a 92 Olympian, going for his third games at Lillehammer.
Well, now he's only 1600ths off the pace, Tim, and every time we see that drop there, it's 1500ths at the next clock. I don't know if he's got enough footage left here to overcome that 1500ths deficiency. We'll find out here in the finish. He was tied for 10th at the end of the first heat.
And does not quite do it. Second best sled so far in the heat, 0.10 of a second or a 1/10 of a second off the pace for Randy Will, USA sled number 2 in the Endicott, New York native, 150.22.
Well, look at an appreciative crowd here in Germany. They're very familiar with the sport of bobsledding, and the applause there was nice to see from the German fraternity.
Now, come to Lee's Factory Carpet Warehouse on Route.
Deficient start time, Timmy. Maybe it's that sophomore jinx we read so much about in sport, but hard to believe they can go from the best starting team in the world to about the 10th best team. Anything below 5:03 is what I call better than average start. 5:01's the best. Their time 5:03, so they got a better than average start, better than their first heat time. But last year, Timmy, they were breaking 4:94, 4:93 out of this track.
Brian Scheimer, Naples, Florida. Brian Liturgis, Cedar Lakes, Indiana. Carlos Kirby of Clive, Iowa. Randy Jones of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They entered the year as the gold medal Olympic favorites.
Well, not only did they have a bad start, he had a bad transition up there as he went into the Kreisel, and Scheimer looks pretty unsettled here. That time on the left is the time of the previous sled, and he's 1300ths behind that, so he could drop another place here.
Scheimer, the winner last year, in 9th place entering the second heat. The second best split time, but 1500ths back.
Well, I tell you, it's playing on his head. You can see it. Once you start to press in this sport, you squeeze a little too hard, and you squeeze off time, and here he goes into the bottom. I don't think this is a good heat for USA number 1, and it's not.
55.05, 150.22. The disappointment continues, John, in the two-man portion. We talked about the Scheimer injury. Let's see if we can decipher it as we look again at the start.
Well, it's not as bad a start in the four-man as it was in the two-man here, but look at the experience of the team here. Watch that last hop into the sled by each athlete. Now, getting in there and getting down with cat-like movements has a lot to do with your start time. These guys did a 5:03. It's a better than average start. But again, last year they had 494s.
150.22. In fact, they are tied with teammates Randy Will as we get ready for our next sled. This is Germany number 1, Wolfgang Hoppe.
One of the best ever in the sport. Look at the feet going up and down together, and I keep alluding to get in the sled with cat-like movements, and boy, they get down quickly, Timmy, and time 5:01. Boy, you have that good of a start. It gives you all the opportunity in the world for a great heat at the bottom. Even by making a couple mistakes, you can get away with it when you got a great start number up top.
Still ahead, Gustav Vader, Hoppe's heated rival. Hoppe in 6th place entering this second heat.
Well, we've mentioned before that this guy's got 2 golds in '84. He's got 2 silvers in '88 at the Olympics, and he had 1 silver in '92. One more Olympic medal will establish him as the most prolific Olympic bobsled driver ever. And he's got a good heat going here, Timmy. He's 500s better than anybody else so far in this heat.
He's extended that to 800s here in Winterberg, Germany. We're sliding in the western portion of Germany. Hoppe, a product of the old East German machine.
54.85 is the time he needs as he ducks his head at the end for aerodynamics, and he gets it. 1500s better than the previous sled, puts him in a great chance to win a medal here today.
54.70 for the run. You see the total time, but that second heat, the fastest run of the day. Deutschland won, taking over the lead, 149.77.
Chrysler Concord, dodging traffic.
Sled number 2, Harold Jodai at the helm.
Good hometown send-off. Chodai in the sled first because he doesn't run too far as it is. He's not a great starter, but boy, great time, 5:02. Harold Chodai's not used to having great start times like that, Tim. He's one of these masterful pilots down the course that if he can overcome the deficient start, puts him in a great position to win a medal.
22.29, the first split we'll see on your left, and that does not bode well. 800s back in 4th place.
He's ahead of Hoppe by 400ths of a second. They've always gone head-to-head. Both of those guys were out of the old East German program, and believe me, there's a race within a race between the 3 German sleds who are in the top 6 and the rest of the field that's here today, too.
42.05, the split he's trying to beat, and it would appear that Jodai will not catch teammate Hoppe.
Well, he's got 400s to lead, but he's 1400s behind, but only 100 meters to go. So Hoppe could move ahead of his teammate Jodai and show my little loop there, and that cost him too, Tim, in the finish. He ended up behind by 1,500, so mistake of the bottom part of the track by Harold Jodai. Uncharacteristic of him.
The veteran 4-man driver, Harold Jodai of Germany, trailing teammate Wolfgang Hoppe. 149.89 the total time for Germany 2. Up at the start, John, this is the sled we saw in the 2-man competition that did so well at the start. Canada 1, driven by Pierre Luters.
Well, they had a fantastic start of 4.92 in the first heat. It broke Brian Scheimer's record from the previous year. This is why he won the silver medal, because he had great starts. Let's watch. Well, the Canadians have really known what to do to win a medal. Collect a great start team and throw him down the track. Look at that time, 4:98, 600 slower than his first heat, but still fastest time in the second heat. Luter's only problem, though, unlike Jodai and the other pilots we talked about, his experience coming down the track. He's probably got 1/10 as many trips as some of the other pilots in the top 6.
And add to that the fact that Luters is a self-professed 2-man specialist, still trying to perfect his 4-man driving skills.
He got a little fear factor about the 4-man. Here he is in a Kreisel. Look at the head, see if they all stay behind each other. That deals with transitions on and off the corners. And there's a transition where he got bumped, then he goes up and down into this number 9 corner. So, oh, he's making some mistakes. 2100s there, Timmy, with that type of bad heat going.
54.70, that's Wolfgang Hoppe's time that Luters is trying to beat.
73 miles an hour into the finish. His time as he ducks his head for aerodynamics, way off the pace. So he couldn't take that great start and put it in down to the bottom, Timmy. He made some mistakes, and it shows.
A disappointing second heat for the still improving Canada 1 sled. 149.99, currently third with 3 sleds remaining. Up now from Germany, Germany sled number 3, a surprising 3rd place after the first heat. Dirk Wies, the driver, with Christoph Bartsch, Michael Liekmeyer, and Wolfgang Haupt. No, not to be confused with Wolfgang Hopping.
Well, this guy has been wallowing in the 4th place spot in the German program for about 6 years, Tim. This is his home track, and he can smell a medal. Listen to the crowd, send him out.
5 seconds even on the last start.
Again, this is his home track, and believe me, the Germans have got this race off within a race off. 4:98 is Luder's time, 5:01, great time by Wies, and boy, is he due to break into this German top 3 and make an Olympic team. It's been heartbroken for the last couple of years to see the guy on the World Cup circuit. Come Olympic time, he's always watching on TV.
We talk about the speed. We see that split 22.29. He's got 24 hundredths to play with and 2 hundredths ahead at the latest split.
Yeah, he's got a lot of time between him and the 4th place sled, but he knows the next 2 guys coming behind him are the guys he wants to challenge for the gold and the silver. I don't think he'd be content with a bronze medal here. Again, this is his home track, and he really can smell an Olympic team position for himself. And if he wins here, Timmy, they'll just about solidify one.
Maintaining a 400ths advantage at each of the past couple of splits as he heads towards the finish.
Let's see if he ducks his head like everybody else. Yes, aerodynamics plays a big, huge part here, and he has the best time in this heat, best time overall. So Dirk Wies, he's happy. He's got at least a bronze medal on his home turf.
They are raising their hands in apparent victory. John, you talked about this German competition within the competition. I think they're feeling the pressure, rising to the occasion. Deutschland, Deutschland, Deutschland. 1, 2, 3 with 2 sleds remaining.
498's the best start so far by the Canadians, and there's the Austrians tying him in this heat. So that says it all, Timmy. When you get that great start in a short 1,200-meter track, you have a great chance for a great finish. Chaucer is really making a name for himself on the bobsled circuit.
We talked earlier, this is one of the slower tracks on the World Cup circuit. The possibility of driving too much creating a crash?
Well, this is a real gliding track. You should be able to allow the sled to go. And again, the guy who drives the most is the guy that loses the race. Here, you just let the sled go. Only steer when you absolutely have to, and that's what the experienced pilot's doing. Boy, he's got a good time here, Tim.
Schlosser trying to surpass the Germans, 42.01, tied for first place at the latest split. This is a race of inches down to the final inch.
He's got 600s to play with compared to the German, Dirk Wies. His time, he's 200th, but that's going to put him in first place overall. So Hubert Chaucer's guaranteed himself at least a silver medal.
So again, 200ths in back for the heat, but with the time he had coming into the heat by 400ths of a second, Austria won by virtue of 1:49.43, move into first place. The final sled and the winner of the 2-man event here in Winterberg, Gustav Vader, Switzerland, sled number 1.
At the World Championships last year, this was the same scenario. It was all up to Vader, the last one down the hill. He had a 900ths lead on Chaucer last year and maintained it to win the gold. But of course, he needs the good start, just like Chaucer just got. Anything below 5:03 is competitive. There's the 5:02. So now he's got the competitive opportunity to at least keep his lead on the way down the track. Now he's got a comfortable 500ths lead. I say comfortable, Tim, but on a short 1,200-meter track like that, 10 hundredths will probably separate the top 2 or 3 sleds.
Well, John, you talk about the comfortable lead, but we saw the graphic. He needs a 54.71, and he had a 54.72 in the first heat, so he'll have to better his first heat, and he looks like he's in trouble, 1,700ths back.
Yeah, Tim, that's not a good sign for the Swiss. He's 1,300s to 1,700s, now 1,900, so the Austrians can probably start to rejoice right here. Vader could fall a couple places. 2,100s now. Not a good heat for Vader. I didn't see where he made the mistake. He must have made it up there before the Kreisel. He could drop 2 places. He needs the time of 64. He doesn't get it. 1,800s, Vader's going to get the bronze.
54.82, 149.54, so a shocking development of sorts. The winner of the 2-man falls to 3rd as Austria, sled number 1. Hubert Chaucer take the gold medal over Wies and Vader. Let's hear from the winner.
Yeah, the race was very good for me. Winning is always super. The first run was okay. I'll make little mistakes. Harald Winkler has little problems to get in the sled. And the second run was I make a little mistake before the Kreisel, and the order is perfect.
A look at the American results, and for Brian Scheimer, a bit of a letdown after last year's victory. He's standing by with Blaine Applegate.
All right, Tim and John, thank you very much. Brian Scheimer joining us now. Brian, a 10th today must come sort of as a disappointment after having such success here in the past.
There's no doubt it's a big disappointment. We're a little bit slower at our start. You know, being first here last year on the Germans' home track, it was a great high. And no, you know, kind of going into the season now, it's a rude awakening, but we know we got a lot of work to do.
While the Americans work, the Austrians celebrate. Next time on Winter Speed, we'll be in...